Hi guys, today is a special video. I have officially been on YouTube for 1 month. Woo! And for this special milestone, I want to share my story on how I went from dirt poor in a third world country to now owning multiple successful businesses in the US, and why I want to help women. So if you're brand new here, my name is Olivia Ansell. My channel is all about helping women find business ideas, validating those business ideas, and ultimately turning those ideas into businesses. So be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video every week. I was born and raised in Kampala, Uganda. I lost my dad when I was 10. He had a lot of children from different women. With my mother, he had me and my sister. Now this is very common in Africa, I'll say Uganda, for a man to have a bunch of different wives. It's very common. If you're living with a man and you have kids, you're automatically husband and wife. So when my dad died, because he only had me and my sister and we were both girls, and in Africa in general, girls are not really held at the same standards as boys. So we were the very first ones to get kicked out. We were kicked out of a house that I grew up in. We were basically given 1 week to vacate that house. We had this house, it had a bunch of different rooms in it, and we had a storage room. So they gave us 1 week to vacate our house. For that 1 week, they moved us into the storage room to make sure we would move out in the week they gave us. So we packed everything that we owned and put it in the storage room. And after we moved all of our stuff from the main house into the storage room, they went and disconnected the electricity from that storage room, I guess to make sure we would move at the end of that 1 week. When we moved out, we moved into another small house that my mom had. We were in a slum. Every time that it would rain, the house would flood. And I cannot tell you how many times we were waking up at 2, 3 a.m. because the house flooded. From 2 a.m. when the whole house is full of water, we would have to stand for the rest of the night or find a place to sit because until morning to clean the water out. However, where we lived, we were considered to be better off than other people because we did not rent. We owned our home. And that always gave me a perspective that things can always be worse. Fine, the house is flooding, but I'm not worried that we're gonna get evicted. Like some of the people that rented near us, you'd wake up one day and the landlord has locked the door and this family has to move out. So it always gave me a perspective that things can always be worse. Things can always be worse, and I'm grateful that I learned that at a very young age. At the last funeral rites, which is a second ceremony after the burial, and this is the ceremony that's where the will is supposed to be read, there was this heated meeting, and I remember my mom crying to these aunties and uncles and step siblings that had taken our house from us and saying, "You took my house from me, you took my source of income, how am I going to take care of my children?" And I remember this one aunt who I had met for the first time at my dad's funeral, telling my mom, "You gave birth to worthless girls. They're going to move around the world aimlessly." That does not even directly translate what was said or the tone, or it doesn't fully translate it. However, it was a very abusive and condescending tone. I remember it being the single most defining moment of my life. I remember after it was said, saying to myself, I am going to make something out of myself. I am not going to be a worthless girl. I'm going to prove to this aunt that I'm not worthless. I'm going to make my mom proud that she had girls. This single moment has defined the rest of my life. It gave me a goal and motivation to work towards, I had such a need to prove this person wrong. That motivation, that goal is a huge reason as to why I am successful now. Pretty much from when my dad died, I've had to take care of myself, from finding food to buying my own underwear and my tuition. I remember this one school, I talked to the school administration and asked them to let me help make the school canteen snacks so I would get subsidized tuition. I would walk miles in the evenings after school and weekends selling popcorn and candles. There were days, I cannot tell you how many days there were where there was no food at home. And I remember walking miles looking for scrap metal to sell. Being 10, 11 years old, no one is going to employ you. I mean, adults couldn't find jobs. No one is going to employ you. So I had to find something to sell. I used to make things to sell. I would learn how to make cakes. I sold fruit. Mention it, I tried to do it. I remember asking neighbors if I could go fetch water for them so they could give me food or they would give me some money. I remember even trying to sell this one Ugandan staple food. I also feel like that was like one of the bigger defining moments of my business life. It's a story for another day, but I was trying to sell this Ugandan staple food. It went really bad, but it taught me a huge lesson that I am still using so many years later. And I'll tell you that story one day in a future video to come. Going through all of this, I learned that how much I worked directly helped how much I was able to eat. And in my young mind, I just wanted to be able to have enough money to buy food and to help take care of my family. It helped me so much in developing my work ethic, and being hungry for food also made me really hungry for success, because I realized if I have food money, I am able to eat. It is one of those things that you look back and you realize my ambition, my drive to go out and get that money directly goes back to those moments I was so hungry, because I never want to be hungry again. I never want to be poor again. I never want to be broke again. I learned that at an early age, and it's something that I work every day like I'm broke. Manifestation. Now, this is something I didn't know that I was manifesting. I didn't know what it was. I did not recognize it was what I was doing. But my young mind, when I would get so hungry, it is something I used to do to comfort myself. On average, we would have one meal a day, and there would be days we would go like 3 days with no food at home, and you'd have to figure out where you're gonna get your next meal. Especially in the nights, because we would have one meal a day. At night, you're back to getting hungry. So I would lay down and I would daydream. I used to call it daydreaming. I would lay down and think about my life, think about how I would start with being hungry, whatever was the most pressing thing, and most of the times it was hunger. And I would daydream about one day I'm going to have so much money that I am not going to be hungry, and when I have all this money, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna eat all the chicken. It was like you would have chicken if it was maybe Christmas, like in the US, how most of the times you have turkey on Thanksgiving Day. It was kind of like that for us to have chicken. So I would always think it would be like months since we last had chicken, and I'd always, and I love chicken and I loved rice. I would always just lay and think about, when I make money, I am going to have so much chicken that I cannot eat chicken anymore, and I'm gonna have so much rice. But then it would go into something else, something that was more, I would start from hunger, and then I would go from hunger, and then I would go to something else. For a long time, I had two dresses. I actually put one of those dresses in the thumbnail. I had that dress and another dress, so I would wear one and wash the other. I would just basically alternate, wear one today, wash the other. When that one is dry, I would wear that, and then wash the one that I was wearing for the day. And then I would think about how one day I am going to have so many dresses and so many shoes that I can wear something new every single day. And it's so funny because now I own a very high-end store in Uganda, and I have all the dresses I could ever want, and I have all the shoes. Those are things that I used to think about. But I would go from that and I would think about the car that I was going to drive. I would think about my mom's house where we were living, in this one house and we all slept on a mat. We covered ourselves and there would be like 5 of us laying on this mat. And I would think about how when I build a house, when I'm older and I have money, I'm going to build a house and I'm gonna have it's gonna be 10 bedrooms and it's gonna have this and it's gonna have that. I would even go as far as thinking maybe I will have 3 kids, maybe I'll have 4 kids, and I will make sure my kids always wore matching clothes and they're gonna have all the toys that I don't have. I would think about all these cool toys. I'm gonna buy them dolls, riding cars, and all this stuff. And then when I would finish thinking about all that stuff, I'd think, how much money do I need to be able to do that? And in my young mind, I thought, if I can make $1 million by the time I'm 25, I can be able to buy land, I can be able to buy a house or build a house. I will buy a car, I'll build my mother a house, I'll build my sister a house, I will start a business, I'll have capital to do that. So from then, I just kept thinking, I want to make $1 million by the time I was 25. I always knew that if you had $1, the dollar has always been huge in America and whatever. And I would dream about being in America. I'm like, if I'm in America, if you want to have 1 million shillings, Ugandan shillings, you can buy, you can do a lot with it. But imagine having $1 million in America. And I used to daydream about all of these things. However, every single thing that I dreamed about, I have achieved. More than 90% of it, I have achieved. And now that I'm an adult, I know that I was manifesting. Having done that, I got used to doing that. That now as I'm an adult, if I have a goal, I obsess about that goal. I visualize that goal. I can see how I'm going to achieve. Even sometimes when I don't know how I'm going to achieve it, I know that goal is there. I just obsess over it until I achieve it. Setting goals. So we all have different goals and we all need different things to consider ourselves successful. I reached my first goal when I left Uganda as a teenager. I got a job and I started a side hustle, and I remember feeling like I now have the means to accomplish so many of the goals that I had set when I was younger. And my very first goal, my main thing was to make sure my family never lacked again. So I remember the first money I ever made, I sent it to my sister and I asked her to go stock up on food, buy a 50-pound bag of rice and whatever. I remember after doing that, I remember this feeling so proud. That goal that I had for so long of making sure my family never lacked again, that I had just made the first step on achieving it. And I knew that my family is going to be set. They're never gonna lack again. It made me feel so accomplished. If they have everything they need to survive, the bare necessities, it gave me that feeling of accomplishment, pushed me to want to do more. The second goal, I remember when we were moving to the US, my kids were 2 years and under, and I knew we were gonna be having more kids. I remember thinking months before we even moved that once we move to the US, I'm gonna need to adapt to the new country and learn where I'm going to be living. Of course, the kids are still really young and we're gonna have more kids. If I can start a side business that can give me $5,000 a month, all expenses paid, that would be like $60,000 a year. I would be pretty happy. My husband had a good job. Once we moved, we bought a nice house, and I immediately started my side hustle 30 days to the day that I moved to the US. And a few months later, almost a year later, I accomplished that goal. I was making the money that I wanted. After I accomplished it, obviously I upped the amount that I wanted to make. But what achieving that goal did was it made me feel like I was successful. I had my kids, I had my husband, he had a good job, we had a beautiful house. I had this side hustle that was giving me the money that I wanted. I got comfortable. I just told you my story. Think about this girl that grew up in the slums of a third world country, and now I lived in a $500,000 home in the United States. and I didn't need to worry about what I was gonna eat. My family was taken care of. I had bought some investments back home. I didn't need to work because my husband had a good job, but I had a side hustle that was giving me 5 figures a month while I stayed home with my kids. So what that did, it made me feel like I had accomplished everything I ever wanted in the world. I felt like I was successful. I had accomplished all my goals, and I got very, very comfortable. I wasn't really striving for anything except, raising my kids to be good human beings. But everything else, I would travel whenever I wanted. I was living a good life. But what that did is it killed every ounce of ambition that I had. The drive, the ambition I had growing up, it killed it. I felt like I had achieved everything I ever wanted, and my drive, my ambition went down the drain. But then, life is always there to remind us to chill us out, calm down, sister, calm down. At the end of 2014, I got this huge wake-up call. Now, granted, it's a decision we made for my husband to resign, but he lost his job. I would say that was the second most defining moment of my life. I realized that I had gotten comfortable. I had dreamt too small. I realized that our family was depending on my husband. I realized that my side hustle, I actually had 3 side hustles at that point, that I was not really treating them as sources of income that could take care of my family. I was doing it to not get bored. I'm an entrepreneur. I always like having something going on. I always have some kind of side business. It woke me up. I realized that whatever success I thought I had achieved, it was all in my head. It was not my success. I was depending on my husband. My husband's master's degree, my husband's job, good job, that was the success that I thought I got. I thought I was successful, but I wasn't. I was depending on someone else's achievement, someone else's job, someone else's education. In my head, I thought I was successful. Those 2 defining moments of my life, one when I was a child and another when I was an adult, taught me that success is an ever evolving goal that we should all always strive for. For a very long time, I considered success in monetary terms. And I know it is because of my childhood. Growing up poor, I never want to be broke again. My main goal for the longest time was to create financial freedom, was to have that financial success. And that's how I always define success. But now, where I am, knowing I own multiple businesses, making 7 figures, I still have goals to grow this business to 8, 9 figures. But I've gotten to a point, I guess having gone through that monetary success for a few years now, I am now at a point in my life where I am starting to completely look at success differently. Now, it is probably because I have achieved the monetary success and I am actively working on growing those businesses, that monetary success to grow. But now I have more things that I am considering successful. Thinking I've spent so many years developing this entrepreneurship knowledge, my experiences that I've gone through. Now I feel like success is if I can help someone else that could be in my situation, that was in my situation, or that could be that wants to reach that financial freedom. Now I feel like success is where I'm heading. That's where my new goal for success is. All the businesses I've started in the past were completely money driven, and I will say, if you're just starting out, if you're an entrepreneur that is just starting out, you need to follow the money first. I will always say that. That is what I did. All my businesses followed the money. But now I'm at a point in my life where now I'm starting businesses that I'm passionate about. My lettuce business, I absolutely love. I love the people we serve. I love the people that I work with. I love the work that I do. I love giving back. Now I started this where I want to help more women start businesses, I mean, it takes me, I don't know, a few hours between trying to find out what I'm going to talk about on YouTube, recording the videos. That is time I'm not spending with my children. That is time that I'm not spending on any of my businesses, but it's something that's worth it for me. I know if I can wake up one day, if I help one person, if I help one mother start a business, I help one woman realize, you know what? My husband having a job, it's just a safety net. If something were to happen to him now, what would I do? If I can help one woman figure that out, I am successful. I've gotten to a point where my definition or view of success has changed. Now I'm going to do this goal. I'm going to focus on helping as many women as I can learn how to start businesses. And maybe in the future, once I feel like this is going and I've done enough and I have a really good process in how I can help everyone, I will maybe start something else. Maybe at that point I'll start a nonprofit, because my first goal of success was completely monetary, and now those businesses have grown and they're making so much money that I can take some of that money and start a nonprofit. I don't know what it will be about, but that will be my next goal. And at that point, I am also helping a lot of other women level up. We all define success differently. If you're watching my videos, you know that I'm all about starting businesses. Definitely follow the money first. And once you reach that financial freedom, then start looking at other parts of your life that will help you feel successful. Maybe it's becoming a better mom. Maybe it's investing in yourself. I feel like success is a forever evolving thing. You should not reach one goal and feel like you've made it. Like I just told you my story. You should always work on success as I reach this goal. It feels amazing. Now set another goal that you can be successful at.